So recently I kind of had like, I hit kind of a place in my life where I was like really stuck in a rut. You know, I developed this like skin rash that was really bad that I've been fighting, still am fighting. I've been going to dermatologists. I think I'm on my like 7th cream. No one exactly knows what it is, and it's been really hard because I get these eczema rashes and these huge blemishes, and it's gotten me like super insecure, which not that I had a huge confidence before, and it makes me not want to do, you know, YouTube videos and talk about things, and I really just kind of want to hide under a rock, on top of the fact that like I've gone part-time and trying to navigate, you know, finding who I am and who I want to be moving forward. Like, what are things that bring me passion? And I'm not someone that's able to stay like, my mind wanders. Like, I'm always thinking and like trying to figure things out, and it's very hard for me to be present on certain topics and stay on topic. Probably why you'll notice kind of in my videos I might ramble a little bit, but I am passionate about the fact that I want human beings to see human beings, and I want us to be more involved. And I think that we get so wrapped up in like how we look and how we're perceived, that a lot of us aren't able to actually be who we want to be. And I know for me, I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, is that it truly is a struggle for me to figure out who I am. I'm 46 years old, you know, and it's funny because my stepdaughter's 24, and, you know, people are like, you know, we'll be out and they're like, so what are you doing with your life? You know, and I'm like, gosh, if you really think about it, that's a huge question. What are you going to do with your life? Like, what are you thinking? You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? Those sayings, I freaking hate them, because it puts so much stress thinking that I had to figure everything out at a very young age in order for the rest of my life to be successful. And when you have that thought process, you don't realize that life itself is about the journey, and like you should always be evolving. And what you think you might want to do today might change tomorrow, you know. And I think that's where like inventions and some of these great people that have invented things that have made our society so much better, is that they kept trying and failing and learning and then trying something else. And I think for us, there's so much pressure coming out of school to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And I look back and it's like, I've done so many different things since, you know, now that I'm 46, that a lot of it I was never even part of the plan. And now I'm 46 and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm back to this thing of like, I stopped, you know, I was going to be a UPS driver. I was full-time. I was, you know, top scale. I was, you know, in that one, you know, 100 to 120,000, have a pension, have great medical, and I'm going to retire. I'm going to do this for the next, you know, 25 years. And I was a little late to getting there. I never was big on college, never was great at education. And so getting this job for me, I had made it. And then like realizing that like by making it, I was very unhappy. My family got what was ever left over after the long day. I put everything into UPS, and I gave nothing back to my family except I brought in a paycheck. And I wasn't happy. And I'm like, I don't have another, you know, 15 to 25 years of doing this and having anything left for myself. Like, I felt like my soul was being sucked out. And more specifically, because I'm working for this corporation, and with each passing year, they care less and less about their people. And I see them working the hard workers harder. And basically what you learn is that if you buck the system, they forget about you. They just dump it more on the people that still care and are trying. And I see that a lot in corporations. And I was realizing that my future, I didn't want it to be owned by this huge corporation who really gave no crap about me. And as far as they were concerned, I was a warm body and I was extremely replaceable. And so we went on this journey of like, what would make us happy? And before, you know, our whole thing was like, we wanted to pay off our house, we wanted to get an RV, we wanted to get, you know, maybe a boat, maybe some motorcycles, and, you know, we wanted to do all these things and live like, you know, the Robinsons. And I started thinking, and luckily my wife was on the same page, and we wanted to figure out how to feel like we were more in control of our lives and how to simplify. And we started to realize that if we didn't keep up with the Robinsons, we could live a lot simpler. And by living a lot simpler, it also takes a lot less responsibility. The bigger the house, the bigger the responsibility. The more cleaning, the more the bills are, the bigger the power bill. Like, if you live a little more simpler, like we have 2 cars that we have paid off. They're old. They're both almost 20 years old. And, you know, reducing our, which, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of credit card debt we're still trying to figure out what to do with, but we were able to kind of get to a situation where it almost, as weird as this sounds, we have such little money coming in. I mean, we, between the two of us working full time, we were, 150,000 plus, which is a pretty good middle class working family. And now we are down to maybe a quarter of that and still trying to figure out how we want to pursue. We do little side gigs and side hustles. We started the business, and then we realized that the way that things are structured, it very much is structured against small businesses. And when you find that you're looking to contribute and, own a small business, and you start to see the political games and the amount of expenses that they put on small business owners and how difficult they make it for you, you start to realize the system is not structured for success for a small business owner. So they really want us to work for corporations. And so that made it very, very clear to me. And it really opened my eyes to just looking into things and asking even more questions. But for us, I think with online and social media and watching all these people have these expensive things and doing these expensive adventures and wasting all of this money, I mean, how many sets of clothes do you have? How expensive do the clothes need to be for you to be legit? It is so, we were not designed to be like that as human beings. We were designed to be creative and productive and community type people, not online community looking at what the other one has and wishing you had it. And I think everything is structured around that, instead of maybe us having campfires and talking to one another and understanding one another and having empathy and compassion and support, and not feeling like we have to keep up with the Benjamins. I think that material things have been something that has allowed the higher ups, whether it's the government or the big business, to keep their thumb on us and to keep majority of society suppressed, because you're either wealthy or you want to be wealthy. And there's no middle ground. And I think that's really sad, because there's so many amazing things and there's so many amazing people in this world that we're all missing out on. Well, we keep wondering why we're not happy, and we think it's a wealth game. We thought that, for me, I was the more money I make, the happier I'm going to be, the better off my family's going to be. No, the more money I made, the less happy I was at the time because of how I was making it, and the less I was there and involved with my family. And I'm really going off on a tangent and a rant, and I don't know if I'm going to post this or not, but I have just been battling with so many different things in my head, trying to figure out why are we here as a society. And I listen to the Republicans and I listen to the Democrats, and they all want to point out things that are dividing us, and that they just focus on trying to drive a wedge in between us. We should not be trying to dictate our neighbor's life. It's that simple. There shouldn't be laws in place to make everybody live under the same law as far as how you live your life, what's best for you. We should be making those judgments based off of what is literally best for us. And how do we know what's best for us? We get engaged. We personally own our self-growth. We don't allow them to tell us what we need. We start to look and find what we need. We start to share that with our community, our neighbors, our family. We start to have open dialogues and conversations. I am so tired of hearing this is my boundary. I'm not talking about that right now. That's not open for discussion. Well, how are you ever going to get past something if it's never open for discussion? We have to stop with that. We've developed this thing psychologically where we just don't talk about it. If we can agree to disagree, but we agree to disagree without ever having a conversation to see if maybe we could agree. And I'm going to stop, because I really don't even know which direction I'm going to go with this or how to wrap this up. I just wish that as human beings, we acted as human beings to one another. And I am so tired of all this negative stuff and the political campaigns that just keep wanting to wedge, us apart, and you got Project 2025, which I don't even know what to do with that. Where to even go with that and how to absorb any of it. But, say hi to the grocery lady, wave at your neighbor. I think maybe starting with small things, you'll be surprised how that makes you feel, and maybe how that will be received. You know, I think we need baby steps. It's not going to be something that happens overnight, but I do think that personal ownership, personal engagement, and awareness, empathy. Do a kind act today, even if that's a small conversation with a stranger. And I guess that's where we'll end it. Thanks for listening to another rant.